today we are going to be talking about monthly expenses that's keeping you poor, keeping you broke. At least these are the monthly expenses that were keeping my wife and I broke. The first one is cable, Netflix, HBO Go, Hulu. Unless you're getting these as a free add-on from one of your, telephone providers or internet providers or whoever it is, you've got to look at cutting out that cable, cutting out that Netflix, that HBO Go. Yes, your Netflix. I know people don't want to give up Netflix, but you could always just keep one of these TV subscriptions, right? Especially if you have like 3-4 of them, why not just give one of them up? Honestly, you don't need all the TV subscriptions. You may want all of them, but don't necessarily need all of them, right? For sports fans, I know this is hard to do. There's no way to keep sports channels without keeping cable. However, there are platforms like YouTube, Sling TV, and, I imagine Apple TV that, has made it easier to watch sports and not sacrifice your retirement funding. If you can limit your television subscriptions to 1 or 2, then you will definitely have a lot of money to build wealth or even pay off debts faster if you have any. So your estimated monthly savings, I calculated it could be anywhere from $12 to $200 a month if you can get rid of one of these subscriptions or all of them. Just try it out. Try it out for a year and see how much money you're able to save. The next expense that I want to challenge folks out there to give up is that gym membership. I know you're not ready to do that, but I think this is a no-brainer because for some of us, you're paying anywhere from $30 to $100 to $200 a month, right? But if you have a gym membership while you have $100,000 of debt, why are you paying $30, $35, $50 every month for a service that you may not necessarily use each month? Honestly, you could probably go walk outside and get the same type of exercise and the same type of healthy physical activity that you would have gotten in the gym. Get a few weights, get some weights, just spend some money on some weights, have them in the house and do calisthenics. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not promoting laziness or not exercising. Quite the contrary. I want you to exercise and stay fit, but you can do the exercise you need outside. If you live in an apartment, you may have weights in a small gym in the apartment complex that gives you everything you need. You can also shop around at garage sales, yard sales, Craigslist Now, Facebook Marketplace for gym equipment that you can keep in your garage or basement or a spare room if you have one. And maybe you have a friend who has a gym in his or her basement that you can use, remember. And so the estimated monthly savings I have here is anywhere from $30 to $100 and maybe more. I would say $200. Some of y'all are paying at least $200 for your monthly gym membership. Some parts in the country, some parts in the world. Now, the next expense that I unfortunately have to mention is haircut and hairdos. With YouTube University and the internet full of how-tos, getting a haircut or getting your hair done shouldn't be a ridiculously high monthly expense, especially if you're in debt. And I'll just speak on haircuts first. Almost, over 15 years ago, when I started college, I learned that getting haircuts was expensive, so I had to learn to cut my own hair. Today I have a barber I go to, every now and then, but this every 2 weeks thing was a big no-no for me when I was trying to get out of debt. There were times my haircut looked weird, uneven, all of that, but I was determined to cut my own hair. Eventually I got pretty decent at it that people would give me compliments, ask me, hey, where do you get your haircut? And I would tell them I did it myself. And they'd be like, really? Wow. I say that and not everyone can cut their hair. I mean, unless you go bald, it's kind of hard, right, to shave your head unless you just don't worry about the actual clean hairline and all of that. But if you can get pretty good at it, that could save you a good $30-$60, a week or at least a month, right? And I'll talk about hairdos and hair salon, services. I can't say definitively what you should or shouldn't do because of my lack of expertise, obviously. However, I do think that if there is an opportunity for you to be able to, make some adjustments on the frequency of getting your hair done or whatever it is, or choosing a different style, right? To just save you a little bit of money here until you get debt free, right? Until you can start to establish some fun from that expense, some fun from your money. that you're allocating, that you're dedicating to investing. Like, I want you to start there and then come back to, these haircuts, hairdos, expenses that you're going to have. And, these estimated monthly savings could potentially be anywhere from $40 to $200 a month. The next monthly expense that I think is really important to address is new clothes. It's been a while since I've bought a new pair of jeans. I mean, we've all been so many of us have been working from home. So the need to buy clothes wasn't really there for the last, year and a half, 2 years. But I can tell you, the last time that I went shopping for clothes was probably, a year ago. And that was probably for a wedding that I was part of. So I was just getting a suit. But, there are folks out there who can easily spend $100 in a given week or on a day just on clothes and just on shoes. And let me say this and set this for the record. I'm not against you having nice things. So buy what you want. But I do want you to look at your financial situation and evaluate whether, spending $50 a month on clothes, $100 a month on clothes and shoes, $200 or $300 a month on clothes and shoes is more important than putting that money towards your debt payment or putting that money towards your investing. Remember, compound interest is not going to work for you. It's only going to work against you as long as you continue to keep that debt and you're not investing. So, this is just another one of those expense that, hey, if maybe you don't buy new clothes, in 1 month, and maybe you buy all your clothes at the beginning of each season and you be done with it, maybe that will help you. The next expense that I want to talk about is one that I'm sure a lot of us have. I know we have it, is the Amazon subscription. And at one point, I gave up my Amazon subscription. I had this subscription since almost 2012, but I had to let it go when we were on this journey of getting debt free. And it was, $9.99 per month. At that time, when my wife and I were trying to get out of debt, we weren't really using Amazon because, we were, whether it was the baby stuff or the baby needs, we needed to get it right then and there. So, we were grocery shopping and all these other things that we were going to the local store to get these food items and all this, whatever it is. Whenever we could, we would order, obviously, from Amazon. But unless it was like over $25 or the total's over $25, we would even try to save that way. So, some months I would never order anything and I would never watch Amazon Prime. So that just kind of made it a no-brainer to give up that Amazon subscription. But more than anything, like, subscriptions are dangerous for you. You begin to feel like emotionally connected with all the updates and the new features, and that FOMO, right? That fear of missing out becomes real. And there's no subscription service that knows this better than Amazon. And I love Amazon services. Like today, you get free storage for photos. You have Prime Reading. If you're a Prime member, you get Audible services. Obviously, you got to pay for that. But in case you're just looking for one subscription that maybe you can order things, have decent, options of entertainment, you can always go with Amazon Prime and let that be your one-stop, have everything subscription service. So it's not it's not a huge financial commitment. It's only like $12 or $13, but I do want people to understand that subscriptions can be dangerous in the sense that you don't realize you're adding this subscription here, this subscription there, this subscription there. Next thing you know, you've got 5 different subscriptions all for $9.99 or $10 or $15, and you're paying anywhere from, $50 to whatever it is, $75, that you're like, oh, wait a minute, I wasn't ready for all of that. And I want people to really take into consideration their subscriptions, especially if you're trying to save money, invest, and all these other things. The next expense that I think some of us can relate to is life insurance. And I'm talking about whole life insurance, okay? Life insurance is important as you work to build wealth. And it's one of actually the first decisions you need to make if you're just getting started with all this personal finance stuff. Like, it's sad to see, many people who either don't have life insurance or have the type of life insurance that really doesn't help them build wealth. And I'm talking about permanent life insurance like whole life or adjusted variable life. Like signing up for the wrong life insurance product could cost you 10 to 20 times than what it should. Life insurance is simply a temporary placeholder as you build wealth. And if you get a term life policy, you're going to be able to get a policy benefit amount, which is going to be, 5, 6, 7, 10 times what you would have got if you were doing a whole life policy, right? So if you paid if you were paying $50 a month for a whole life policy, you probably would get $100,000 or $200,000 policy payout. But if you paid $50 for a term life policy, you're probably going to be able to get anywhere from $800,000 to $1 million policy that would get paid out. And of course, there are differences between term and whole life, and I'll link to a video where I talk about that. But term life policy for the vast majority of us is what I think is better. It just makes sense to get a term life policy instead of a whole life insurance policy because of the expense and the cost and what you're able to save. And if you can move your policy from a whole life to a term life, may not be optimal or may not be the right choice, but check with your financial advisor. Then, ask that person, is it right for me to change my whole life policy to a term life policy? And hopefully they'll actually be honest with you, unless, they're the ones that sold you the whole life policy. You definitely want to look into that. So here you could probably save, anywhere from $180, right, to $900+ is really the true savings. You could save a lot of money just by switching whole life insurance to a term life insurance. The next expense that I'm going to talk about is a cell phone payment. I'm not talking about your cell phone plan. I'm talking about a cell phone payment. And I may lose some of you here, many of you here, but I do believe that cell phone payments are worth mentioning, because, it's always interesting to see how many people will line up for the latest iPhone or the latest Samsung Galaxy only to put their purchase on a payment plan. Cell phone services are now becoming very competitive. It's a competitive market that you and I can be the direct beneficiaries of, and services are becoming cheaper and cheaper. And I think still a lot of people get hurt because they see their friend get this new iPhone, and so they want to go ahead and get the iPhone, or they see that there's a deal for an iPhone or a Samsung, not realizing, oh, wait a minute, it's a payment plan. And so people get hurt, putting this phone on a payment plan, and when they don't have the money to buy it outright. So I think this is a big no. I would say, get an older version of the same phone you want, and try not to have that shiny object syndrome of wanting what your neighbor has or wanting what your friend has. And this could save you anywhere from $30 to $50 a month, and that's a lot of money that you can put towards debt, put towards investing, put towards building up that emergency fund. I think that's a huge benefit for a lot of people out there. The next one is a car payment. According to CNBC and Experian, the average new car payment is about $600, and for a used car is $400. What else is there to say other than buy a used car straight cash? I have nothing else to say about car loans. I've had one. I had one. Thankfully, I was able to pay it off. And my wife and I, when we got married, we were aggressive with paying off her car note. Of course, not every circumstance is the same, but I would encourage anyone who says they need a car to really look at your options, okay? Don't just go to the dealership and finance a car that you see, that's $10,000, because there's a good chance that you might be able to go get a used car that's equally good. Of course, you're going to need a dependable mechanic who's going to be able to look at the car and do a full thorough inspection. That's really important. But if you manage it right, be patient, take your time, maybe shop around, right? Maybe you end up getting the car from a dealership. That's okay. But shop around and try to, compare the different prices and see if another dealership can beat another price. You want to do all of these things before you sign up for a car payment. And if you can, wait a month or 2 or 3 to be able to save some extra cash so that you can, put down 80-90% or whatever if you're pressed for a car, unless you can wait and then just pay the whole thing cash, that's going to go a long way. The next expense that was keeping us broke and limiting our ability to build wealth and save and pay down debt was eating out. And I love to eat out as much as the next person. However, I realized that eating out is just way too expensive to do every month. Even we were doing it every week, maybe a couple times a week. But when you go grocery shopping and plan out your meals, I know you actually save a lot of money from when you would have been dining out. And to be fully transparent, we have a dining out budget now, and we had one while we were getting out of debt, but we were, dining out $100 a month, maybe $100 to $150 per month. We never really broke that budget because we were always buying groceries that would last us up to 2 weeks. So, that $10 lunch you have every day doesn't have to be $10 if you buy your own groceries and prepare your meals. Meal prep, I learned from some of these, older folks, meal prep was a big way to be able to save money. And I think the estimated monthly savings for this category could easily be anywhere from $300 to $900. Maybe a little bit lower than $300, but I think average, you could probably save anywhere from $300 to $500 a month just by not eating out. When you add up all of these savings, opportunity to save, that's an extra $1,000 to over $3,000, maybe $4,000 that you're able to save, that you're able to invest, that you're able to apply toward debt. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Leave a comment below, and I'll definitely look forward to the next show. Y'all take care and peace.